All right. Welcome everybody to our first official module live discussion on passion and mission. We have Andrew Varnum with us here today from Union Kitchen. He has been one of the instructors who created the initial curriculum, and he's also been with all the cohorts so far. So, and you will be seeing him many times throughout the accelerator. So I'm excited for him to get to know you all and for you all to know him. Andrew, I would love if you would kind of introduce yourselves, but really explain what Union Kitchen is. It's such a neat concept and framework that it would be, I think the women would really enjoy hearing about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Katie. Well, first of all, hello, everybody. So really excited to get to meet all of you, get to know you over the course of the next, few months and learn about your businesses, your challenges, and kind of help you either launch your business or grow your business or whatever it is that you came here to do. So very excited for that. So like Katie was saying, I can give a brief introduction of myself and Union Kitchen. Just my background, I've been in strategy consulting, management consulting for the past decade. I also work with Union Kitchen, which is a food and beverage accelerator. So taking a lot of the skills from the kind of big strategy firms and bringing it to the startup world was something that was really exciting for me. And so that's how I came here. But in terms of what Union Kitchen is and what we do, we're a food and beverage accelerator. So at its core, pretty similar to this program, we help food and beverage businesses launch and grow. And the way that we do it is pretty unique. This was what attracted me to the company when I joined maybe 4 or 5 years ago. We have a curriculum, so an accelerator program, kind of similar to the Farm2Food program. A lot of it's based on what we do with our entrepreneurs. But what's also different is that we have this whole physical ecosystem. So the whole value chain. We run a commercial kitchen, so a production facility. And we were actually the first commercial kitchen on the East Coast. We've been doing it for 8-9 years at this point. So we've done that for a while. Then we launched a distribution company. So we actually run trucks around the DC area. We buy food from manufacturers who produce in our kitchen, and we sell it to the Whole Foods and other grocery stores around there. And then we actually finish it off by launching our own grocery stores. So the whole thing, soup to nuts. People kind of come to us with an idea. We help them figure out how to create the product. We launch them in our kitchen. We buy them and move them on our trucks. We sell them in our grocery stores. We get all the information. We pass it back to them. And it's this whole circle. So it's really cool. It's a lot of fun. And what's also exciting about it is that we have this mission and we'll talk about this, to build successful food businesses. And so that's one of the things that kind of lets me get out there across the country and across the world and help run and launch these accelerators. So I've done that for quite a while, all across the US, a few of them overseas, recently in Istanbul in Turkey, helping Syrian and Iraqi and Yemeni refugees start food businesses. So it's a really cool idea that you can take this entrepreneurship concept and have a big economic impact, have a big chance of helping people start these businesses and just grow. So a lot of fun and a lot of cool things to get to work on. I'll stop there.
Thank you so much. That was great. Thank you so much, Andrew. It's good to get everyone oriented with who you are and what, all that you've done. So I would really encourage people in these. I know that sometimes, especially if you're more introverted, there's a tendency to be a little shy with asking questions or speaking up. We are not going to call people one by one in this accelerator. So we really encourage you this is a really safe space to kind of speak up and get comfortable in a group and ask Andrew questions. Like really use him and the other experts that are going to be with us. I did have every week, I will start out with some program updates and just general information. So I do have some of that for you today. And then I will hand it over to Andrew to really get into everything. So let's look at my little list that I have for everyone. Okay. So on the forums, I saw that everyone posted, and thank you so much. This first week, it really is more about getting oriented, so it's okay that people posted late. In general, though, if you can post the day before, it gives us time for the experts to respond on the forum, or for me to help you if you're having technical difficulties. And then a lot of times we'll have, we'll have a panel, and I'll compile your questions that you put on the forum and I'll send it to the speakers the day beforehand. So if you don't get it in there, then they often don't have a chance to see it before they show up. So, if you have a problem, reach out to me. I'm always happy to help, post for you, or do whatever needs to be done. The forum is there for experts, but it's mostly there for you guys to communicate with each other. The beauty of this program is really like the group brainstorming that comes out of it and everyone contributing your thoughts to each other. You very rarely do you get a community where you get to have so much input from other entrepreneurs doing the same sorts of things. I know that Seta had put in there that Katie, she addressed her video to me, and I think it was even shared just to me, but I would really encourage you to think of it as to everyone. I will put comments in there, but I am not a food expert. I am here for encouragement, general entrepreneurship support. I have experience in that area, but when it comes to food, Andrew and your other food experts are like the go-to. I can say that I love a passion and mission statement, but I'm not sure that it means a whole lot. It means something, but really, we're going to want to lean on Andrew for his expertise. Let's see, what else? I also saw that did you guys all see that there's a workbook on the program page that has all okay. That workbook has all of the worksheets in it. I saw that someone posted their workbook instead of the individual worksheet. You can absolutely do that every week if you want to just fill it out, and then it will keep it in the same document, same place for you, which is nice to keep organized. You don't have to do it. You can just do the worksheet if you want, whatever way you want to handle it. But I did want to point that out, that is absolutely fine. And then the recordings and slides and all that information do get posted. If anyone has a problem finding them, please, please, please reach out and I will help you. All right. Oh, I'm so glad you like it, Alice. Okay, so with that, I'm not going to take up any more of your time. I did love watching the videos and seeing the posts, but I'm going to let Andrew give you his expert feedback. So Andrew, take it away.
Awesome, thanks. So a few other thoughts. Just first, as a brief agenda, the nice thing is we have an hour and a half, which is great. Sometimes these groups are really big, so we do breakouts for part of it, but our group is less big. So I think we'll all stay together. And this kind of ties back to something that Katie said that is really important, is that we've structured these programs to give you a cohort very intentionally, right? So being an entrepreneur, as many of you know, is a pretty lonely profession. You don't have a lot of colleagues. You're doing this all yourself. But the fact is, there's a dozen other people on this call who are going through the same things either with you, or they've just gone through it beforehand. They're in the same field. They're, maybe you're not local as in next door, but you're in the same state. So this is a really valuable network for you all to have. So like Katie said, we're not going to, call out individually, but really do, I encourage you to jump in, to get off of mute, to raise your hand, start, interacting with each other, and with me and anyone else who's, teaching in these courses, but really with each other. And you do have that platform. So you'll be able to network with each other on that platform, connect offline, keep bouncing ideas off of each other, keep the conversation going outside of these classes, right? So this is once a week, give or take, but you now have 12 other brains to help you solve these problems. So really strongly encourage that. And then just a few other things, from being kind of at this vantage point, it's definitely helpful to see, see thumbs up, use the buttons like waves, come off mute, give me some sort of feedback so I know if something's resonating. If you have questions, interrupt, jump in. Let's treat it as close to as if we were in person as possible. Because that was always one of my favorite things to do back when I could go into the kitchen. I see a thumbs up, thank you. Was to actually get to know people, and it's hard in this environment. So we'll do our best. Okay, so then in terms of back to the agenda, we're not going to do breakout groups. I will not go through the full lecture because you had the article, you had the video, all of that stuff. But I'm going to give you my highlights. And then sorry, I see Katie wrote something there. Email, phone number. Okay. Yeah. And Katie will, ping and stuff like that. I'll try not to respond to it every time. But so I'll give you my highlights. Then I do want to turn it over to a group discussion. And, it's a little bit awkward at first. We're just starting out, but really do want to use this time for Q&A. So ask questions about the exercise, give me feedback on the exercise, ask questions about what I've mentioned. But this is also really the time where you're going to get to start stress testing your ideas with your cohort. So anybody, when we get to this point, we'll ask you to talk about your own mission statements, your own passion, your own core values, all that. And we're going to really start workshopping this as a group. So that should be a lot of fun. We'll do a little recap at the end and then preview the next session. So does that sound good for everybody? Thumbs up, heads nodding. Excellent. All right, good. So I'll just make sure I hit on all of my top points here. But as I mentioned, you've read the article. I'm not going to go through everything. But the main thing that we're going to talk about today is the company mission statement and all the work that goes into that. And even more so than the mission statement, what is your company's mission, right? And so these are foundational, fundamental issues, and it really answers, the why behind the business, right? And as you're starting out a business, super important to reflect on why you're actually doing it. As we mentioned in the article, you could be doing anything with your time. This is either nights and weekends for some people, and you could be relaxing. You could be working for someone else. You could be doing literally anything in the world with your time, but you're choosing to start or grow this business. So really being reflective and intentional about why you're doing that is going to be important from the outset. One of the things that we always tell our entrepreneurs is that, you need to think about what gets you out of bed in the morning, like what's going to drive you to succeed. Being an entrepreneur is not always easy. I've been there. I've been called to the kitchen at 3 a.m. To help folks out with things, but there will be times when, perhaps 3 a.m, you've got something happened. You have to make a whole new shipment to get it out the next morning. And you need a drive. You need something to get you through those hard times. And having it written down, why are you really doing this? That's going to let you refer back to it, give you strength when you need it. So I think it's very important to start with laying this bedrock foundation. Okay, we'll talk in a second about, how to do that. But the other key concept here at the beginning, if you remember from the articles and the videos, this idea of a North Star, right? So your mission, again, it's that motivation, but it's also your North Star, your guiding light. I mentioned I was in strategy consulting for a while. We used to say that strategy is all about choices, right? Everything you do is a choice you're making in business. Are you launching this product or that product? Are you keeping this product? Are you cutting that product? Is your marketing A or B? All of these things, as the business owner, as the entrepreneur, you're making these choices. Hopefully you have a team or some folks to talk to or this cohort, but strategy is all about making choices. And so having this North Star, this guiding light will help you out with that. A little example, I mentioned Union Kitchen's mission is to build successful food businesses, right? And so that's something that we talk about all the time in our company. A good example of how that was actionable, how we actually use that. When we started out, I mentioned, we operate a commercial kitchen, a whole bunch of other things. The actual story of how we've grown is fun. I could tell you that some other time. But at one point we had a catering company, right? We had the equipment, we had the infrastructure, we're running a kitchen, we have the networks. So we had a catering company. It was profitable. That was great. But then we did this mission kind of refresh where we landed on our mission being building successful food businesses. And so we re-examined everything. And we said to ourselves, does this catering company fit with our mission? It's bringing in money, it's keeping the lights on. So, that's good, but it's also taking our time and effort away from building successful food businesses. And so we decided to cut it. So that's a very clear example of like using your mission for a strategic business decision. So how do you do it, right? How are you going to go about refining your mission, deciding on your mission, all of that good stuff? And we break that down, as you saw in the articles, about your passion and core values. Passion, again, what's going to get you out of bed? What is the thing that you're really interested in? Some people might love making bread. Some people might love the environment. Many different things that could be defined as a passion. Core values, core interests, similar type of things. Your non-negotiables. Some people, that's organic food. Some people, it's affordability. That's another big one. You're not just targeting a niche market. So answering questions and being reflective about what are your passions, what are your core values and your interests. These are going to be the building blocks for your mission, right? And so then when you combine them, and that's kind of the black box, that's where it's a lot of trial and error. How do you pick the exact words, et cetera, the right order? Everyone kind of approaches that a little bit differently, and you'll trial and error, come up with something that sounds right as long as it contains those concepts. But when you combine those, that's what's going to be your mission. And a good example of that is in the articles, we always refer back to somebody, I can't remember his name, the founder of Patagonia, right? This was a great, is it Jacques, I heard? Jacques, Yves, and I speak French, so I should.
Yvon Chouinard.
Yvon, okay, there we go. Sorry, terrible with names. But yes, Yvon, and again, can't remember the last name, but still, his passion was being an outdoorsman. Like, he loved the outdoors. And this started back when you were doing mountaineering. You had to leave the metal pieces into the rock when you were attaching your ropes, right? So mountaineers were just littering the mountainside with these little metal spikes. He also loved the idea of climbing. It's another core interest of his, equipment, kind of high quality gear and whatnot. And he combined this idea of creating a company that services outdoors oriented people, but that's really focused on environmentalism, right? As an outsider now, that makes total sense, right? That sounds pretty simple. But again, back then it wasn't. If you're servicing mountaineers, you're selling them disposable or metal spikes just to leave behind them as they go. So his mission statement, or Patagonia's mission statement, is that to build the best product, cause no unnecessary harm, and to use business to inspire and implement solutions to the environmental crisis. So you can really see the thread there. This is something that for them it's their mission. It's core to what they do. It has to promote using business to promote environmentalism, using business to do no harm. Like, these are core values that you see carry through their mission statement. And for them, you can also hypothesize, but see how they would use it, right? If somebody comes and says, I've got a great idea for a V8 car engine, they may say that's not necessarily going to help the environmental crisis, so we're not going to do it, right? It's pretty high level, but still actionable. They can still do something with it. So that's a whole lot of me kind of talking right there. Why don't I pause for a second so I can catch my breath, but also just see if anyone has any reactions or questions to my overview there, some highlights. Yes.
There are some questions in the chat, Andrew, and I would love at some point, maybe not right at this moment, but just for everyone to read off their mission statement, their passion and mission statement really quickly, because I don't know how many people got a chance to read the posts in the forum. So would love to just kind of share all those on here, if that's possible.
Absolutely. I think that's a great idea when we do our kind of discussion after this Q&A. I think that's a perfect thing. We can do a round robin, and then as we have questions, we can ask them too. But why don't we start with the hand that's raised, and then we'll go through the question. Or I see that you have a question in there as well, but do you want to come off mute? Also, sorry, one last thing. I see, some folks have their Zoom name as their name, which is very helpful for me personally. But if not, could you just say what your first name is? This is the first time we're getting to meet each other. I'm looking at Tavasoli.
Oh, Alice. Yeah. Sorry. My first name is Alice. I'll have to change it. I'm still learning how to deal with Zoom. I'm kind of new to it, to be honest. I hate computers. Yeah, I'd rather be digging a hole. My husband thinks I'm nuts. Okay. So my first question is, do I focus the mission statement on my overall farm plan? Because I have lots of things going on the farm, right? Or do I focus on this one food product and the mission of doing the food product?
So that's a great question. And that's actually something that we should probably get ahead of, Katie, because I've heard many people ask that. The way that we've envisioned this program is that it really is you all starting a CPG, right, to some extent packaged food product, a value-added food product, right? So not just an extension of your farm, excuse me, but a new product, a new product line, and most likely a new company. So I would say that the way that this program is going to work best for everyone is if you focus your efforts on the packaged good, right? So treat it as if it's its own company, because if your farm is growing, cucumbers and cows and everything else, like you could get very spread out. But in this program, hopefully you're working on one thing, right? The packaged product. So keeping that kind of consistent, I think is going to serve you the best.
Okay, thank you.
I think also thinking through future products, because I know many of you had multiple food product ideas, and like Erica, like other traditional foods that you might want to choose, things like that. So I think that when you think through your mission, I agree with Andrew, but yeah, think through where you're going to.
Yep, and just to reiterate that and say what I said in a slightly different way, completely agree with what Katie's saying. You may have different products, but your company, this kind of new company, if you will, of the packaged good, that is kind of what we're working on. And that company may have 3 different products you launch or whatnot, but that's the kind of unit. Yes. Sirheta, am I saying that right?
Seta. Yeah, it's Seta.
Yeah.
Thank you for your input. This is very helpful, and I'm very happy to be here with someone who has a broader scope of what we're going for in the way of food. I've been working around this food for a while, so it's very interesting to see the evolution of it, because I'm dealing from the ground up. My work is more coordinating between farmers and consumers, things that are needed. I don't know if you saw that, but my questions are, with this mission and with the moving forward, because we have the one product that you're saying to focus on, but in that one product for me, it seemed like 3 others popped up that could be added into this um, line of what I can do in the work.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing, there was the tonic that came over for ginger turmeric tonic, and then the sea moss came in, and then my husband came home with coconuts. So this line seemed to take on a blossom of its own. And what I'm finding is that I'm this sole woman doing this,
Mhm.
and I need a team. And how do you really develop the the product for one, but then how do you really expand the business to a team? Because you can't do it by yourself.
No. You
How do you
definitely
do
can't.
this?
I have a whole lot of comments on basically each one of the things that you mentioned. Let me just start with the end. One encouragement, because this is your first, class. I know we've had meetings, et cetera, but we've structured this to be very sequential, and it's a building block approach. Everything builds on the thing before it. So we're definitely going to talk about things like production and systematizing, or turning it from cooking to manufacturing. There's a lot of ways to build a business, and you all should be thinking about building a business, a system, right? You're not just, you don't want to be cooking in the kitchen yourself. You want to create a recipe that someone else can cook. You don't want to be selling every product. You want to be creating a value proposition that someone else can go and sell for you, right? So everything we're doing is building systems. But to kind of your first point about having many different lines and stuff, that's where a mission comes in. That's where a mission helps you, because that's your first fundamental decision. What are you doing, right? And I heard coconut, sea moss, and one other thing. Is it a beverage company? Is that kind of your main thread? These are the types of things, and in a second I'd love to hear you respond to that, but just to finish that thought, these are the types of things everyone's going to be thinking about, because is it Amy's Organic, right? Amy's or Annie's, I can't ever remember which one. As you can tell, I'm bad with names. Amy's Organic, right? They have pizza, they have mac and cheese, they have spring rolls. The product doesn't matter, but like kind of the idea is they do frozen organic food, and they also do boxed macaroni and cheese. So they've clearly really expanded. But kind of they have one thing, which is like, we're making organic, easy to make food, let's say. So that they still, even if they have different products, they have kind of one business. So I guess kind of before we get kind of very specific into yours, because I do want to do this round robin where everyone talks about their mission statement, and we can all I'll provide feedback, and everyone can too. Let's put a pin in that for a second. We have one more hand up as well. And can you tell me how to pronounce your name?
Yes, it's Sarita.
Sarita. Okay. I tried earlier.
Yes. Thank you so much for being here. I cannot wait until we have a chance to really pick your brain about different aspects of the food industry. But for now, what I found with this project that we had to work on for today is that there were times where I found that our passion and our mission kind of overlap and sometimes seem to be the same. How common is that to be a problem for us at this stage of the coursework? And then will we have some time throughout this project to revisit those things to kind of refine or maybe change perhaps our passion and mission? Like, are we locked in, or will we have a chance to go back and work on that?
So let me start again with the kind of the end first. A key concept here that we're going to be working with is the idea of iteration. And has everyone heard of the lean startup? Has anyone heard of the lean startup? I get some thumbs up, or see some, maybe some, maybe not. So the lean startup, it's a book, and it's all about, starting up, but lean, right? Like, you're not doing, 50-page business plans, raising $100 million on Wall Street first, or, the venture capital funds. You're doing it very iteratively. You're a small, nimble entrepreneur, right? And so there's a lot of other concepts to it, but one of the big takeaways is that everything we're going to be doing to start out with is wrong. Like, I'll say that again. We tell this to all of our entrepreneurs, and it's always, people, get the double take. Everything you're doing now is wrong. Like, I don't know what the right thing is. It may just be a little wrong, but you're going to do it differently over time. You're going to refine it. Maybe it's just that your packaging needs to be family size instead of snack size, or the other way around. But everything you're going to be doing is making little incremental iterations, improvements, et cetera, et cetera. So Sarita, to your point, yes, like you are going to refine things. You're going to change things. That said, the mission is one of the ones that you want to change kind of the least, right? Like the North Star is always the North Star. So when you're doing your mission, you may change your mission statement. And if you change your mission, you may just do a different company. But sometimes generally your mission is going to be pretty foundational. And how you kind of execute on that mission, the strategy part of it, the operations, the tactics, those things change all the time. And that's a lot of the refinement and iteration. But just to give you some ideas, because this is in some of the articles too, but mission statements can be pretty broad. They have to be actionable, but they can still be pretty broad, but they really shouldn't change, because your core values are generally your core values as a person. And they're going to be the same 5 years from now, unless like something crazy happens. One of our companies, their mission is just make great pizza. Okay, so unless they, start making something else, like their mission's pretty straightforward. And if they go out of pizza, they're probably going to do a different type of business. But that kind of tells you like it can be fundamental. Amazon is another good example. They want to be the most customer-centric company in the world. Now that one's pretty broad, right? You can do many things, but their core value of being customer-centric is always there. And they're always trying to delight their customer, and they do a great job. You can buy literally anything now on Amazon. So it's all about the customer, making it easy, et cetera. So I know that what I just said was somewhat contradictory, but the key thing here is you do want to make sure that your mission really speaks to who you are and what you want to do with your business. And then as you figure out how to do it, we're going to be iterating and changing all the time. So that's kind of the big picture. Obviously, as you're drafting your mission statement and the words and like the little tweaks, you can refine that, of course. Let me see, because that's always a big, heavy concept for folks. How do people feel about that? Any thoughts or questions? Let me look up some of the other mission statements, because I'm going to send out a PDF or something through Katie with a bunch of examples, because the mission is all going to be yours. But like I said, the mission statement, you're going to refine that, wordsmith it and all that. But let me give you a few. Honest Tea. The mission here is Honest Tea seeks to create and promote great tasting, healthier, organic beverages. I mean, that's pretty, broad, but also pretty actionable, right? Like we know that they have a focus. It's going to be organic, right? Even before that, it's going to be a beverage. Honest Tea is not making chips, right? So that's important, right? It's going to be organic. They're not going to, fill you up with high fructose corn syrup, right? So they've staked their claim. They've made their line in the sand. This is what we're going to do. Let me find a few others. Do you all know Jenny's ice cream? I don't remember where it's out of. It's maybe even Cleveland or something like that. But it was a little startup, and now it's like this super premium ice cream, and they've made it relatively big. They're kind of growing around the country. Their mission: making better ice cream and bringing people together. So, they are an ice cream company. One, they are focusing on making good, better ice cream. Two, and they have an interest on bringing people together. And that one's kind of fun. I don't know what they're going to do with that, but that's something they can work with, because they do sell pints in the grocery store, but they also have ice cream shops. So, that gives them some place to play. But their mission is kind of, it's pretty, I can't see that changing as long as they still want to make ice cream.
Yeah, and what I'm hearing from all of these examples that you're giving is that they're simple, straightforward, and succinct. And I think I was overthinking the assignment.
You are not alone there. The mission statement is the really hard part. The mission, that should almost be intuitive, like the building blocks and all that. But absolutely, the mission statement is something you can definitely work on. I saw one hand, Jocelyn, maybe you took it down, but do you have a question?
I didn't have a question. I was just going to agree with her. I feel like everybody, what everybody is saying is making me feel like that's what I spent a week doing, was overcomplicating this process. And like, I was trying to like redefine my whole entire life and into like 3 sentences, but I've learned today that, you know what, it's about one thing and it's about jerky. So like, don't overcomplicate it. Like, what kind of jerky do you want to make? And that's kind of it. So
yeah,
kind of a relief.
As long as, this is a foundational thing. So spend time on it now, but you don't need to perfect it in a week, right? You can come back to it, but generally the building blocks aren't going to change. You know what they are. You know why you're going into business. You know generally what's important to you. I do want to throw one more example in here, which is a little bit of a curveball, but hopefully this will change your perspective or broaden your perspective. There's a coffee company in DC, we're based in DC, called Compass Coffee. And they've got like, I don't know, 13, 15 coffee shops. They're, growing small, but expanding. They're pretty popular in DC. And before the pandemic, they were on a great trajectory. I don't know now. Their mission statement, I think, is really cool. It is, we're here to make people's days better. So that one is kind of a totally different example, right? They're a coffee company, but their mission is that they're here to make people's days better. And they make that work because they do sell beans that you buy in the store, but that's kind of like really small. That's not their focus. And I don't even know why they do it, to be honest. They have these coffee shops and they're a great place to be. Like they only hire really friendly people. Like when you walk in there, someone's saying hello to you. It's got fun music playing. It's just like, it's a really positive place to be.
Yeah.
And so that's a cool, different way to think about your mission statement. That's kind of the next level up. I would say start with the basic, what do you want to do? What do you want to achieve? What are your core values? But then they turned that into, we're here to make people's days better. So their core value really stood out, of that positive experience, making people happy, etc. So
I did just want to jump in really quickly and say that, as being an entrepreneur myself, every year I take New Year's, and I do it constantly, but I take New Year's as like my time to really evaluate. And I think of myself as like a little sailing ship. And am I like, which way is the wind going? Am I happy with it? Like, where am I going to end up? And how do I course correct? And really, and what's pulling my energy in a positive way, and what am I avoiding? And that way, each year I'm guiding myself to a future that fits me better and also is more profitable and enjoyable in general. So just wanted to throw that out there.
And I think that you had this implied, but to make it explicit, you do that based on your mission. You evaluate how you're doing, how the wind is blowing based about that.
So I do that, yeah, based on my mission, and I kind of have two mission statements. So probably not quite the succinct thing that we want, but it's one of them is I believe that through entrepreneurship we can invent the future that we want to live in. And also one of my mission statements is to help entrepreneurs not feel so alone in the process. So things like this, where it's helping you guys get further and bring an idea to fruition and to revenue, that's part of it. And then also just the community aspect that plays into it. So this is very much in line with what my mission is. So yes, I do use it to guide me in that way. Yep.
That's awesome. So again, very actionable. You can make decisions against that. So why don't we pause or switch gears for a little bit. I loved your idea, Katie, of doing kind of a round robin, getting everyone kind of in the mix a little bit, just to say what your current mission statement is. And for my benefit, just because, again, we have many people and I'm just starting to get to know everyone, maybe start by saying, what's your mission statement? Or maybe just, what do you want to do? Like, what is your product? And what is your mission statement? If you have a product, or category, beverages, snacks, something to help me orient. Anyone want to start?
I'll start because I have like 1,000 questions all in my head at one time. But when I was looking at the mission statement and for what I've been working with, I have this connection between consumer and farmer, and been doing a CSA for the last, it's been almost, it'll be 10 years March, that I've been starting and stopping this process of doing a CSA. I love to get to the point that I don't stop it and that it really becomes a year-round service, and a entity that really is ingrained in my community. The the passion comes from living in the community where there's a lot of food and hearing of people who are suffering from not eating good quality food. So my passion is to connect those two dots, and it keeps growing. It doesn't stop. It just keeps growing. So I wrote I put it in the chat because I'm not sure whether I put the link in the class thing done. Should say it should have been my mission is to gain and share knowledge on those foods and substances that promote optimal health, and in doing so connect great farmers with great consumers who share the same passion and concept. That's what it is, and it doesn't, that hasn't changed. It's one of the
Yep.
reasons why I'm doing the tonics, is there's a lot more food, and the quality of the food really does impact our health. So bridging those two gaps between good consumer food, good farmers, and consumers is what the drive of this company is. Period.
I also heard you mention connecting with people uh, who are hungry. To be very simple, right? Like, there's a fighting hunger aspect. Is that right?
It's more about fighting nutrition deficits than it is about hunger. Um, there's a difference in my mind. We can eat all day and still not be nourished.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
there's the big difference of what the drive is I have for this company, is not just to feed you food to get you full, but to feed you food that nourishes you, because it's coming straight from the earth and it has the nutrients in it that is said that it's supposed to do for your body.
So
And
I
that's
guess,
the drive.
yeah, and I think what I hear a lot there is your passion, and that is to nourish people, right? So that is a big part of it. Your interests, there's something around connectivity, about using business to achieve a social goal, perhaps. I think I think that I would push you to kind of connect the dots there and kind of turn it into a mission statement that you can then use to drive your company. Because right now it's definitely at that broad level where the example of Compass Coffee I gave is great because they've also been in business a long time, right? But when you're starting out, like, really being able to make decisions on your mission is key. And if it's just around, nourishing people and connecting businesses and stuff, there's just so many ways you could take that. So yeah, I would just encourage you.
But it's only from, yeah, I'm sorry, it's only from farmers to consumers. That's the connect.
Right, but is
That's it.
is it creating? I mean, is it a CSA period? Is it a delivery service?
Yes.
Is it okay? So it's less of like an actual, like a product, right? Because the product, it's more of a service, is what I'm hearing.
Yes.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's a good or bad thing at this point, but it is. It's been a CSA, it is a CSA, and that's what it is.
Okay, well, I mean, I think that's very interesting. Katie, did you have something?
Yeah, when I watched your video, I don't know if you saw my comments on the forum, but when I watched your video, you were like, your personality is like very, you're very positive. It's like this, there's something about you that is wonderful. And you kept talking about abundance, like abundance and community and food and nutrition. And it seemed like such a positive sort of mission that you were talking about in the video. And I really connected it with it. And I connected it with you too, with that personality. And then when I read your mission statement in the worksheet, it didn't have that same like oomph to me as when you were talking about bringing and sharing abundance. And so I don't know if that's something you could incorporate in a mission statement, but that really had more, resonated with me more so.
Yeah, I think when I sat down to think about the mission statement, it was different than when I was telling the story of. And that's the reason I've stayed in this business this long, Katie, is that energy attracts people and they keep wanting me to do it and keep wanting me to bring it. So when I go to put that in some statement form, I'm going to say, slap, I need help with the pieces that I'm not good at. And maybe that is making it concise and clear in communication on paper.
Well, what I'd suggest, if you're okay with it, is let's put a pin in this one, just because it is a little bit different. It's more of the service than the product. I do have some thoughts on that. I've got some specific questions for you, Seta. So let me kind of work through Katie, and I can dig in with you a little bit more. Let's continue to go around. We have a good 45 minutes. We got plenty of time for everybody. If anyone else wants to jump in and say kind of who they are, what they're working on, what their mission is.
Hello. Hi, I'm Pat White. And you're doing the worksheet. It was really difficult for me. It's kind of out of my scope completely. But it just realized that I'm actually thinking about starting a business and getting my product that I love creating and giving away. And my mission statement, essentially, because I love just doing what I'm doing, gardening, and then taking care of the chickens, quail, and I also have emus, was just as simple of to provide nutritious, tasty, feel-good egg products from, quote, happy hens, end quote. And I had defined the happy hens as being hens that are running around, living a normal life in the pasture, eating good food, treats, ability for them to get broody with it, raise their chicks if they want to, even if it affects any bottom line. So I don't know how that really flows. Ancillary things are, I am a physician, and I love Seta's mission of nutritious. I feel like everyone, I resonated with a lot of the things that I was looking through with so many people about utilizing foods that are, whether are they weeds or not, going for nutrition, taking care of people, educating people, learning things all the time. I was even sprouting the coconuts for vitamin C and immunity, and Cherokee's lifelong learning. If I don't mention everybody, Pamela's chicken soup. I'm a huge soup person. Katie can tell you, one pot wonders, But anyway, I'm just really excited to get to know everybody and hope that you guys can help me, point me in the right direction, and stop looking at the squirrel that runs by or the dime that falls on the ground. So.
First of all, I love the energy that you're bringing, and I'm really excited to hear what everyone is doing. And that's one of the fun things about these types of projects is like we're working. I mean, you all are bringing a lot of good energy and positivity to the world, and that's very cool. I love the pasture raised eggs. That's something I gravitate towards. When we start talking about pain points, customer pain points, who's your customer, et cetera, that's going to be a lot of fun to work into, because that's going to add a lot of cost compared to your competitors. And so you have to think about how to work with that, but not to get ahead of myself. Your mission to provide nutritious, I couldn't get the whole thing down, but nutritious egg products from happy hens.
Right.
To me, I mean, that is very succinct. It's very actionable. Hens have to be happy. What are you selling? Eggs. egg products, et cetera, right? Boom, very simple. Your passion kind of comes through, which I think is around animal welfare, around nutrition, feeding people, your core values. Again, that's kind of animal welfare. Can you tell me more about interests and core values and how that's incorporated?
Well, my interest, of course, I love animals, and of course, and as far as the nutrition, I actually did extra courses after medical school on functional medicine and how to stay healthy. I've gotten really stressed recently, and I have to get back to. I'm trying to get back to a more easy lifestyle instead of this emergency medicine COVID implosion that I'm going through right now. And I've gained so much weight, and that's part of the issue. The egg products that I love and make are pickled eggs, which of course are, just a nice new little nutrition snack, great for diabetics. But the thing that really does well when I give them to people is my meringues. However, I haven't figured out a good way to make a meringue without sugar, even though I've gotten into a point where it's basically just 2 grams of carbohydrate per little savory or per snack. And that's one of the things I want to work towards. But as far as making a meringue that would be healthy to eat if you're a diabetic, it's gluten-free. I want it to be halal certified, as well as, so that there's going to be no, I use flavor extracts, and I like to make my own, but most of the extracts have, yes, sorry. Do you have a question?
Sorry, no, I
got off track.
I have some thoughts. I want to hold them, but I want to hear, it sounds, let me jump in because I don't want to forget them.
Sure.
So what was interesting to me about what you were saying is that these products that's not at all what I thought you were going to be making. So that's very cool. I thought you were selling just raw eggs, but these are egg products from Happy Hens. I think that's very cool. That's going to be really exciting to work with. I do want to ask the rest of the group if they have any reactions or thoughts to your mission, and especially hearing your core values and interests, how it works together.
My first thought was just that the Happy Hens is super catchy and explains a lot, but that's all I have.
Very similar.
I thought it was genius. I liked it. It opens her up for like anything she would ever want to do with her Happy Hens or her birds. Like, I thought it was great.
Yep. Goes back to the bottom line of what are you feeding and what are you doing with the products that you get, and can they add value to people around you? Absolutely cool.
Love it. Pamela, you were saying?
I was just saying my product is chicken soup, and one of my non-negotiables was that the chickens that I raise here on the farm are treated humanely. They're on pasture, very natural lifestyle, like Pat was saying. So I identified with that. I think that's great. Yeah. And I think people are very health conscious and more aware and against factory farming. So that's definitely a selling point.
Yeah, we are definitely going to come back to that. I'll be working with you all during a lot of the different courses, but we're going to talk about your value proposition, your core customer, how that relates back to what you want to do, what's their pain points. We're going to talk about all these sorts of things. A lot of good material to work with there. And also the fact that Pat and Pamela, you're both focused on similar things. You're in a cohort. This is perfect. You guys can bounce ideas off each other and work together on this stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I know Katie's commenting on sugar. Yikes! I actually make a peppermint meringue with erythritol. The erythritol is a substitute sugar alcohol, which has an endothermic reaction in your mouth, which means that when you eat it, your mouth feels cool, and that's how they cool you with the Cool Blast sugar, gums and stuff. So when you eat these, it's like a mint cooling your mouth, and you get more of a mint flavor. The problem is I haven't gotten it to where it's got a really good crunchier structure, so I'm still working on that. But they kind of more melt in your mouth versus crunchy meringues, which I like. I don't know what everybody likes. I'd like to try and make some and send them out to people so that y'all can taste test and feedback. I make maple. I make a lemon drop meringue that I color with turmeric because I don't like to use artificial colorings. So
we're gonna get Katie to to work on that. This is something we've heard in, I can't promise we'll do it, but we've heard
Right.
about this from other people about the idea of having everyone taste everyone's product.
So I either weren't able to do it with the COVID numbers with the first group, but they would love to get together and do a tasting. And I would love to do like both years together to do a tasting as an event. And I think if we do it outside, we can maybe come up with a plan that is doctor approved from using patch. And so we will work on that.
Good, good. Well, thank you for sharing. I do want to get to Jocelyn and Rebecca, and then anyone else who wants to share, let's do this. The one thing I'll say before passing to Jocelyn is, again, we're probably not going to get to everyone given the time, but this is the wonderful thing about the cohort. Use the chat functions, ask each other things, like post your mission statement every day as you change it. Like you got 12 people, 14 people, how many folks, like they want to help. So it's a great spot for you all to be in. So with that, Jocelyn, you want to tell us what you've got going on?
Yeah, I think my stuff may develop and fine tune a little bit, because I was trying to kind of work it with the raising of our cattle and then my specific product. But the whole reason that this whole thing has come about is I was just trying to find a way to put myself into what we do. I don't know, I've just gone so long helping my husband run his business, and you know what I mean? We raise cattle, and I was just kind of looking for a way to kind of find something to identify with and connect with and put my passions into that kind of worked with the rest of our life, And for me, jerky, it came about, I love to backpack. I mean, if I'm not working, if I have free time, I'm in the mountains somewhere, and it is the one thing that we eat nonstop. I make it for my nieces and nephews. We eat it. You buy 50 packages of it if you're going to be on a trail for 2 weeks. But it's always kind of bland, boring stuff. So I just kind of wanted to bring like some of I love food and I love to cook. And I wanted to bring some of those flavors to something just as simple as a package of beef jerky, that we source from our own farm, just kind of a piece of me and a product.
I think that's great. There's a lot of, clearly passion outdoors. It seems like passion, kind of, which many people have said, is like nourishing people. You said you give this to your nieces and nephews.
Yeah.
You don't do that if it's junk, right? This is something that that seems, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there is that kind of nourishing, like this is part of you that you want to share.
Yeah.
So that's a big theme there. Core values, I imagine, bland and boring, so flavorful and exciting seems like something that is the opposite of the thing you didn't like. So do you have like a way to combine have you written out a way to combine them? And apologies if I don't remember.
The flavors, just kind of trying to find, like, I've got a million flavors wrote down to start testing through, like some other ideas that we've come up with, just kind of, talking around the campfire, if you will. And then like the other things that are important to me is I love the outdoors. So I want to make sure that I'm able to incorporate practices that are going to be long lasting, that aren't going to be bad for the environment. We're working sustainability into our operating model of our farm, so that we're not, because agriculture where we've grown up is big ag, it's plow it up, it's spray it with chemicals, it's plant it back, it's big track,
Yeah.
We can do it more responsibly. We can do better. And if I want it to be here, when my nieces and nephews are old enough, like it needs to be sustainable. The future isn't 5,000 acre farms, land is becoming smaller, and we need to learn how to use it more responsible and protect the outdoors that we love, that we recreate in, it's where we spend our time when we don't work, or at least it is me.
Yeah, I think that's great. And as I would say, keep kind of iterating on that and making sure that those things come out, like the love of the outdoors, environmentalism, responsibility, nourishing, excitement, things like that. Those themes are going to be important, because then as you are thinking about what you're doing with your business, is it single serving jerky, or is it something that's more environmentally friendly? That'll be a decision point you'll have to come
Yeah.
across at some point, and that can help steer you in one direction or another. I saw some things in the chat about drying jerky and making it taste different. Let's hold off on that. Those are interesting questions. When we get to product ideation and stuff like that, we'll talk through all of that. But I mean, that sounds interesting to me. And I think that the focus on responsible, sustainable, flavorful beef jerky, I think that those all sound good to me. I'll keep thinking about more specific feedback on that, but does anyone else have any reactions to that?
I think it sounds great. Hi, I'm Debbie Campbell, not Rick Flagg. And I think that sounds fantastic. I also love the mountains, but I'm here near the beach, so.
Good. So as you're thinking about branding, you can work together about that. But did you want to share anything about your mission statement as well? I know we had one more.
Considering my video doesn't even have my actual mission statement as part of it, because we ran out of time. But my mission is to provide a healthy, affordable snack that is nutritious and locally grown without added sugars. And what my product is lemon nut, turmeric, and ginger nut balls.
Interesting.
I like that because I like to grow food. That's one of my things I really love to do. And I love to educate others about growing food and encourage them to do it.
I mean, I think it's great. I think that the idea of, I guess I got a little bit lost when you said nut balls. That's like a little snack bite type of thing, or
it's a little bite. And the purpose of it being a small bite like that is it's you can bring it with you, whether it be on a hike, when I started it was because I was spending all day on somebody else's farm weeding. And I would just get so run down that I needed something to bring myself back up quick. And they're so full of protein that it would work. A lot of times I would keep it in the freezer and go get chunks.
That's great. There's a company that is in our accelerator in DC called Berg Bites that sounds similar to. If you want to look them up, that may give you some inspiration.
Well.
But yeah, I mean, did anyone have any reactions? Again, clearly your passion and kind of interest of nutrition comes through the core values, I guess, of kind of portability, of kind of energy on the go. I don't know if those are exactly core values, but those are things that are definitely coming through to me. So
yeah, I struggled with this assignment.
No, I mean, to me, it sounds good. And again, to reiterate, the mission is not going to change. The way you describe it, the way you wordsmith it, et cetera, that definitely is going to evolve the more you bounce these ideas off of people.
Okay.
But thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to talk about their mission? I think, Rebecca, you had your hand up before. Can we hear from you if you want to?
Okay, sure. So my mission is, my mission statement, I guess, is renewing this is kind of what I want to do. I guess it would be my passion too. So renewing the ideas and ways we live and stay healthy, using Mother Earth and all of her blessings as a main source of medicine while making eco-friendly farming practices a top priority. Did anybody hear me? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty much what it is. We make tea. We wild harvest as much as we can. I've gotten into growing. Well, we grow a lot of things: food, vegetables, fruit, herbs. But also, I got started growing mushrooms. So, and that's quite different than plants. I don't know if anybody has had their hand in that, but it's different. And So basically, yeah, a lot, like somebody had said earlier, you know, is it a weed or is it a plant? So a lot of the stuff that I use is considered a weed by most people, but they don't realize that it's got medicinal value. And, you know, these are the things we need to incorporate into our lifestyle on a daily basis, are the things that are available to us, abundant. And, you know, there's studies out there left and right on things that most people consider weeds that are really good for the body, you know.
I like
So
this. And
instead
I
of
think,
waiting until we're sick, if we incorporate some of this stuff into our diet on a regular routine, you know, it's preventative as far as I'm concerned.
I like that. The thing, and I was trying to jot it all down. I'm going to stop trying to jot it all down. Everyone can post it again, or I'll go back and look so I can just see the exact wording. So I can't comment to the exact wording. But again, the concepts here, clearly you're focused on health. You're focused on kind of a natural type of brand, right? You're not going to be using, again, high fructose corn syrup. You're going to be kind of doing all natural products, things like that. That definitely comes through. One thing that's a little bit interesting, when I heard you say medicine, I think that's definitely something that it sounds like you're interested in, that you want to do. You know, to me, that kind of puts you down one path, which is very good for a mission statement, right? Like, you're going to be doing things that have health benefits, maybe supplements. Supplements are always tough because of, you know, claims, like you have to be careful with claims, but if you say it's non-FDA approved, et cetera,
Yeah.
you know, you can get around that. But
Right. I do make tinctures and other sort of medicines. You know, I consider the teas are pretty much medicine, you know, if someone is sick, or I've personalized them before, you know, for different members of my family or neighbors or whoever, and, you know, specifically tailored to what they are feeling or any medical issues they may have, you know, using something that might, you know, break up kidney stones or, you know, and as far as I'm concerned, all of the medications that we have that are on the market today, they all at some point came from a plant, you know. So I feel like so much of our healing needs to come back from the earth, and so much of our lives, really, we need to reconnect with the earth, and, you know, in the ways that we stay healthy, in the ways that we live, you know, it's.
Yeah, I think that's great. And so one of the things that when we get to value propositions and branding and all that stuff is the idea of functional food or beverages. And that's kind of obviously similar, but kind of keeps you out of the medicine regulation, you know, area. Like, if something has turmeric and ginger, it's invigorating or calming, or, you know, words like that are your friend. There's a lot of things you got to steer clear of. But for your mission, like, clearly this kind of comes through. This is your passion. You want to use, identify the health benefits of food, and you know, have that type of natural, eco-friendly brand. So I like that. Anyone have any thoughts or reactions?
I do. I think that's fabulous. And the more we can teach and have venues where we're getting back to the earth to really heal ourselves, the better off we'll all be. It's just good stuff.
Excellent. Thank you. Well, thanks for sharing. Alice, do you want to go next?
Okay. So I'll read my first mission statement. It's kind of more an overall on the farm type of mission statement. And that's why I asked that question earlier. And then I've kind of already changed my mission statement to be more focused, like you said, on the food product. So, okay, the first mission statement that I wrote and posted was waste not, want not. To make our Florida abundance of fresh foods and preserve them in the best way possible for our health and wealth. Because that's kind of an overall farm thing. And the reason I wrote that was because once I bought my farm, the first thing I did was I needed ways to build my soil, because I'm going to be growing a lot of, you know, subtropical fruits and vegetables. So a farmer's always got to build their soil, right? Well, what freaked me out, I mean, really opened up my eyes, was when I went to go and get food waste from like Publix or wherever you can get it. They all said, you know, no, you can't have it because of insurance problems. You know, you could sue us or something if you eat it and get sick. And I'm like, well, where do I go to get all this food waste that everybody talks about? So I found a food kitchen, and it's pretty far away. But I'd go up there and I started to realize, oh my gosh, there's so much food waste. It's insane. And yeah, I see you guys nodding your head. It's more insane than you can imagine. If you've never seen the food waste at Publix, and that's just one store, right? There's all these Publixes, there's all these other, there's so much food waste, it's insane. And I would take it to my farm and dump it on the mulch pile. And yeah, it's turning into, so that's why I want to, you know, get the, I want to get, before the food goes wasted, get it and preserve it. So that's why my mission statement was get the food from my farm or your farm or anywhere and preserve it. One of the best ways of preservation is freeze drying. There's other ways. There's like, obviously you can, you know, ferment, or you can dehydrate, or you can can, or whatever, but I'm into freeze drying right now. So it's, but so if I were to focus my mission statement, Andrew, on my product, then I would change my mission statement to say, to have the best tasting, fresh from the farm, freeze-dried fruits or treats, freeze-dried treats, because that's going to focus on my strawberries and cream. I want to make that product for this class. I mean, I could make anything. I could take pineapple. I could take, you know, anything I'm growing, or anything you're growing for that matter. So that's a more simple mission statement, to have the best tasting, fresh from the farm, freeze-dried treats. So I don't know which one you like better.
I like this a lot. One of the things that I'm looking at right now, you all know the Misfit? Have you heard of that company?
Yes, I'm familiar. They glean from farmers. Oh, the Misfits, you're talking about the mail order. I was thinking of the farm gleaners, the Misfit fruits or whatever. I tried that for a couple of months, and it's like HelloFresh or one of those companies. They send you a box of fruits and vegetables that are ugly. Basically, they're not fit for the grocery stores because they're deformed or whatever, or imperfect. And I did it for a couple of months, but I wasn't really able to use the product. It just wasn't a good fit for the family because there was some really strange stuff that came. But I want to go ahead, Andrew.
No, just the one thing I was going to say with them is that they have a big focus on, you know, their goal is to prevent food waste. And
Right.
ultimately, I'm looking at their mission statement, I just Googled it right now. Every Misfit market box you order benefits farmers, helps prevent food waste, and ultimately helps save our environment. And they're doing well enough. So I think that they would be a potential model for you, Alice, and also set up maybe something to think about too, as kind of more the service than the actual product. But I do think that there's definitely going to be folks that are interested in reducing food waste as like a goal of theirs. And so I like your idea, your mission statement that talks about best tasting, fresh from the farm, freeze dried. So like it very clearly says what you're going to do. I would also encourage, if you can, it sounds like preventing food waste is a passion. Like that's a non-negotiable. That's an important thing. So try to work that in as well. Because it seems like, well, that is a mission for the farm. It's also a mission for the packaged good company. So that was my.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I use the waste not, want not, because it's so important to all of us, right? We know that if we don't waste things, we're never gonna really have to want for what we wasted. So I didn't know if I should throw that into my mission statement somehow, or just keep it to have the best tasting fresh from the farm freeze-dried treats. Because I do want to focus on freeze drying.
That's your way of wasting not, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's good. And again, you can wordsmith it later, but like, I do think that is clearly a passion and interest area of yours.
Okay.
I want to
If
get
I
to
may,
Erica, but
Alice,
Pamela, sorry.
can I add something to Alice or just a suggestion?
Sure.
I know you're trying to get stuff from the grocery stores and other places. If you're anywhere where there are a bunch of farms and they're growing fruit, you'd be surprised how much fruit goes to waste on farm.
Oh, I couldn't
And
agree
you may
more.
be able to get
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. If there's any farms in your area, check with the farms. They may even give you the waste of it, or the as it's no longer sellable. There's prime, and then there's next, and then there's not sellable anymore. And at that stage, the fruit is the ripest and probably the best stage for you to start dehydrating or whatever you're doing with it. So that I just wanted to throw that in there. It's so much food waste. It's ridiculous in this
I know.
country.
Right now is strawberry season. I am surrounded by strawberry farms, and watermelon is right next door to us. So there's so much. I mean, it's insane. So I could have the biggest freeze dryer just working constantly. I mean,
I was just going to add to that and say that I go to a lot of agricultural expos and stuff, and there is a huge, like 120 acre farm right behind my farm, and they do commercial agriculture. And I can tell you that when they're growing, they rotate crops, but one time they were doing sweet potatoes, for instance, and the farm workers go out into the field, and when they're harvesting those sweet potatoes from the field, they're grading them right there before they even load them on the trucks. And they're just chunking them. Once the sweet potatoes get to a certain point where they're not worth picking anymore, harvesting anymore, they just leave them in the ground and they till them under. So like you were saying, Seta, there's a huge amount of waste that y'all have no idea. You don't even have to worry about going to Publix and getting their waste. But there are actual farm groups. They're gleaners, and they go out and they get permission from the landowner to glean the vegetables that are left behind, and then they go to like food banks and stuff. Still an incredible amount of waste out there, but just wanted to throw that out there to kind of educate y'all, if you weren't aware of that there are organizations, they're nonprofits, and they go out and glean that excess produce. So that's all.
Thanks for that. Yeah. Excellent. Erica, I saw you had your hand up next. Do you want to share your mission statement or talk us through it?
Sure. So my product is Pizzelle waffle cookies. So it's a traditional Italian waffle cookie that my family makes every, around the holidays. And they're kind of a pain in the butt to make, but we whatever. It's a once a year thing. But anyway, they're not the healthiest cookie. So one of the things I want to try to look at, besides making the traditional recipe, is finding other recipes that are maybe gluten-free and maybe use, different types of sweeteners like sugar, different types of sugars instead of just regular sugar. And to that, I came upon my mission statement was bringing tradition and healthier food together that everyone can enjoy. So it's kind of broad, but it kind of is trying to capture what I was saying with like tradition and then food, but not just, trying to just put a healthier twist on things. So
yeah, I like that a lot. I mean, for me, tradition, clearly that is, a passion. I'd love to, as you're thinking about how to create your website and all of this stuff, that's a great thing you can work with. You're going to want to say why. Why is Italian tradition important? You had an Italian grandmother who taught you X, Y, and Z, or whatever it may be in your case. And that is one of the ways that I got into food. So that is a good way to do it. alternatives, that's another big thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's definitely healthier, right? So again, that's a potential guiding North Star. One of the companies we're going to talk about a lot in this program is called Snacklands. They're an alternative chip.
Okay.
Chips are made from many different things, but they're a low calorie chip. So it's kind of a healthier alternative. So I like that. Does anyone have any feedback or thoughts about that?
And I'd love to ship some samples too.
Maybe. But any feedback or reactions to that mission statement? Bringing tradition and healthier food together.
Really quickly, I just want to say, if you want to post your address in the chat, we'll put the chat file on the site. So if people are inspired or making a big batch and then want to send it out, of course, you're more than welcome. I will add my address as well. But yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a good one. Definitely, as you refine, I mean, that one, it's nice, it's succinct. You'll probably continue to refine the wording over time, but a lot of good things there. Tradition is another thing there. Traditional recipes, pizzelles is one option. Maybe there are other traditional cookies even beyond Italian, but traditional things that everyone knows and loves that you can work with. So I think that's a good one.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can't beat tradition.
I think so too.
Sarita, I think you had your hand up next. Do you want to talk about your mission statement?
Yes. Okay. So we're all about tradition as well. We are of West African and Caribbean roots. And so drinks is something that is traditional in that that's how we celebrate holidays, births, birthdays, different traditional celebrations. It's all about the drink. And so our herbal tonics are fruit flavored, and the product line was actually created and inspired by my 3 daughters. So we grew up, well, they grew up as well, juicing. And so they just wanted to continue that whole family tradition of juicing and introducing those juice recipes to the market. And so our mission is driven by 3 forces, and those are to provide your family with the same drinkable homeopathic remedies that we've used in our family for generations. We aim to continue using the same few ingredients to create our scratch-made recipes from locally sourced goods. And our hope is that you will find our price points pleasing to your pockets. After all, everyone deserves to heal at affordable prices.
Yeah, I like that a lot as well. Very actionable. What I'm seeing there is, recipes made over generations, homeopathic. So it's very clear it's a health focused, scratch made, the ingredients and quality aspect, few ingredients, price points, etc. So that's very, very clear what you're working on. I'd say the one thing that is interesting to me is, there's the combination of like celebrations and drinks and juices and things like that. And then there's like homeopathy and medicine and stuff, and those feel a little bit different. But again, that's to be the mission statement or the North Star. You can choose, are you making fun fruit beverages that are like really, colorfully packaged, or are you making something that's more medicinal and like, healthful and stuff like that? Because those would be different kind of paths. At least to start with. Maybe you'll expand later into both, but you probably want to choose one of those routes to begin with.
So for the past 4 years, they've been a combination of the 2 things. Again, because we're West African and Caribbean, everything is bright and colorful. And so that there's a reflection of that currently in our packaging, our branding, our labels, and the tonics themselves. We have 4 different recipes currently on the market. And so you will see that you get a sense of our personalities and who we are as a people and as a family just by looking at the bottles. And then with the flavors themselves, because they were created for kids by kids initially, it's drinkable medicine. without the yucky flavor. And so we just want to continue to introduce these things to other families. And so, you know, you're getting that goodness, but you're also enjoying the fruits, the roots, the herbs and spices that we've used to create the recipes.
Good. I love it. And again, you know, we're going to have a lot of time to work on this. I think that I've already got a few things kind of percolating in the back of my mind. We'll circle back to this, especially when you talk about your customer pain point, because again, there could be those two distinct groups, and you know, you may have to do different things for each one. But we got plenty of time to work on that, and it's a good mission statement that clearly drives you in a direction, which is nice.
Thank you, Alice.
Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Let's do this. Why don't we pause for now? I know, Alice, your hand still may be raised from a holdover. Jocelyn, I know you had your hand raised before, so that may be a holdover. So this may be a good time, unless either one of you did have a thought or a question. But if not, Katie, maybe it's a good time to pass it back to you, and we, you know, wrap it up for the evening.
All right. So I do think Lincoln and Tori, did you have your hand up? I thought I saw that you guys were trying to raise your hand at one point. Is that?
Yeah, we did, and I had put in the chat, we didn't jump in because of the difference in the Zoom application doesn't work the same on this laptop as it does when I'm at work. So I can only see the speaker. I can't see everybody else, and so I haven't had a sense of when is an appropriate time to join in. We had wanted to share, but I don't know that if there's not time, that's okay. I'm sure we can catch up another time. Can you hear me?
Well, yes, I can. I can hear you, and yeah, I know we were trying to figure out the gallery view in the chat for you, and I'm sorry we weren't able to get you figured out there. Maybe at the beginning of next time, since we'll have Andrew again, we can have you quickly do your mission statement now. So next week we have
Okay, great.
we have we will be moving into customer pain points, and this is a really a great exercise to get out of your own head and into the head of your customer, because often when we create things based on our tastes and our preferences. And so this is really trying to shift your mindset to the person who buys it. Why are they buying it? What pain point are they experiencing? You know, are they looking for something interesting, for entertaining or giftable, or are they looking for something that doesn't have sugar but is still tasty? And so you'll really want to get into the head of your customer. It's another Andrew article and video. He does a much better job explaining in there. So please watch and read. And as a worksheet again, and is it the survey? It is a survey. Yes, you will be surveying people, and the best thing for that is that we found to get a really good response is to do it using an online program. So like a Survey Monkey or Google, any of those. But if you send like a Word doc out to people, then they have to print it, and then they have to write on it, and then they have to scan it, and then they have to send it back. So really something that someone can fill out really quickly on their phone is perfect. And you don't need, it doesn't have to be someone who's a current customer. It has to be someone who would be likely to buy the product that you're thinking of creating or creating. So, you know, if it's obviously, if you're doing jerky, you don't want to reach out to a vegan and ask them about it and survey them, because they're not really going to have very helpful things for you. So do be thoughtful of that. The more that you can get, the better. I would also encourage everyone, as soon as you make your survey, please post it on the discussion forum so we all can fill it out for you. That's a lot of survey responses, potential survey responses that you can incorporate into your results. So please do that, and then post again your takeaways. I think that covers it. Anyone have any questions about that? Okay, so I will once again, oh, Jocelyn, go.
Yeah, are you posting something on where to make these online surveys?
I'll include something, I'll include a couple links in my
Okay.
weekly email that goes out on Mondays.
Awesome.
So I will include that for everyone. And we have a template and something to base it off of. So definitely look at the materials. And I see that people are having to run, so I want to be respectful of everyone's time and shut us down at the 5:30 mark. Thank you so much, Andrew, for all your expertise. And thank you all for the energy that you brought and for coming here together today. And we will see you next week.
Thanks, everyone. See you next week. Bye.
Thank you.
See you next week, guys.